На самом деле, мне так понравилась предыдущая наша сессия в таком вольном формате, которая предложена была организаторами, Дмитрий Гадомский там модерировал, что мне даже так как-то возвращаться к панели немножко даже скучновато. Но на самом деле, я думаю, что это будет компенсировано докладами наших уважаемых спикеров сегодня. Я их представлю позже. Хотел бы поговорить сегодня в рамках этой сессии о мероприятиях, которые проводятся юридическими фирмами. Нужны ли эти мероприятия, насколько они эффективны, как можно продавать эти мероприятия, как можно их упаковывать для того, чтобы они стали интересными аудитории. И вторая тема, которая будет затронута нами в рамках этой сессии, это нетворкинг. Как им умело пользоваться, наверное, знают о нетворкинге все. Вот как им пользоваться и как с этим жить, вот, наверное, наши панелисты, хотя я не очень люблю слово панелисты, но панелисты нам об этом сегодня расскажут. У нас сегодня жесткий тайминг, потому что мы уже, организаторы мне сказали, мы сбились со всех возможных, даже невозможных графиков, и если мы будем затягивать эту сессию, то мы останемся с вами без обеда. Вот, поэтому я предлагаю начать. Начнем мы с представителя нашего гостя из Великобритании, это Эндрю ВЕБСТЕр-ДАНН. Он в рамках своего 20-минутного доклада расскажет о том, я хочу сказать о том, что он руководитель направления по рекламе и спонсорству International Association. Он сегодня нам расскажет о мероприятиях, которые проводятся юридическими фирмами, об эффективности этих мероприятий, о том, как нужно проводить эти мероприятия, и, надеюсь, вызовет интерес в нашей аудитории.
Thank you. If I may say, if I speak too quickly, then please just put your hand up and I will slow down. So thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here and to talk to you. And again, I've just been introduced. I'm from the International Bar Association. I'm the head of advertising and sponsorship, but also business development Asia, and also in charge of their business development program for law firms around the world to increase the input from business development people, PR people and marketing people into law firms to make sure that they participate in the IBA and other conferences. And what I'd like to talk about today is how, as a law firm, you should prepare in order to attend a conference, or your partners to attend a conference. And I'm going to base it on the IBA annual conference, which takes place next year in Washington, DC. And I'll also reference to Vienna, that's just happened. In Washington, we're expecting 6,000 international lawyers to attend. In Vienna, we had 5,982 from 132 different countries attend. There were over 200 working sessions for that week, dealing with arbitration, litigation, anti-corruption, even outer space law at these events. The week had a number of social event programs taking place, lunches, receptions, dinners that were hosted by the IBA committees, but also by the law firms themselves that came to town. So looking forward, what I would say is that if your partners have said to you already that they want to attend or they're thinking of attending the IBA annual conference, what I'm going to give you some advice. Most of it, you will sit there, be nodding and go, yes, we know this already, we're already implementing this and we already have this in place. It's amazing how many firms I speak to who say they do this, who nod their heads enthusiastically, but then the people here in the room, the business development, the PR, the marketing people who are the ones that are nodding, usually then come up against the partners who just go, yes. And they don't quite comprehend how much help you can be to them at a conference and how much work they really need to do when they get to the conference. I've just been in Washington last week visiting law firms, the World Bank and the IMF, giving this same chat to those law firms. So you are not alone in difficulties in trying to encourage partners and the law firms generally to listen to you and get involved in this. So the thing that I would say is before you attend any conference, not just the IBAs, is if a partner says I want to go to this conference, then seriously make them say why. Don't just let them say they want to go because they can do some networking. Without being critical of anybody here, there was a presentation earlier on, and a gentleman says there's something about going to a conference and coming back with 100 business cards. Give me 20 minutes after this over lunch and I will give you 100 business cards, of which 98 of them will be completely and utterly useless. Because all you've done is walked up to somebody and say, can I have your card? That's a waste of time. What you want are the 2 cards where you spend half an hour talking to that person and you walk away with a contact you can go back to and say, we're going to do business with this law firm or with this company. So before they go, they should decide why they're going and they should justify it to you. A lot of firms I work with elsewhere in the world, they do this. They have a sheet that I saw on a forum this morning where they have to write down why they want to go, what do they think they're going to achieve, and what are they going to bring back. There's a law firm that I've worked with for many years in India called Singh & Associates. And they started with us back in Madrid about 7 years ago. They were 2 partners in a firm in Delhi. And they came to us and said, Andrew, we want to make everybody think that we're such a big law firm that they will always come to us when they come to India for business. So they spent the next 5 years sponsoring events, putting their brand everywhere, but they then putting together a program of meetings. So every conference they came to after that, the partners had to meet 70 people. And those meetings weren't just turn up and meet 70 people, they were pre-arranged. They'd gone through the list of participants, they looked at the countries that they wanted to approach. So for example, they were very interested in working with companies in the US. So they set their team up to get as many meetings with US firms, and by meetings I don't mean a coffee meeting, I mean a sit down in front of and discuss business meeting. And in their first year they achieved 37, which you may think, well that's not many, but there were 2 partners. And they did those 2 events, they then sponsored the closing party and the welcome party, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is one approach they took. They then made sure at those meetings they had support staff there. They had a marketing person with them. They had their PA with them as well to make sure notes were taken, nothing was missed. And if you're going to go to an IBA conference, this is the kind of level that you really need to go into. Now don't get me wrong, if you do come to an IBA conference and if you walk into the exhibition hall at refreshment break time, I could stand with you and point out the people who have not done any preparation. Because they are the ones standing with a cup of coffee in their hand at a table just doing this. Because they're waiting for something to happen. And I can promise you, it will not happen. You will stand there for a week, drinking coffee, having nice sandwiches and nice cakes and things, and you'll go home feeling very healthy, but you will walk away with no business. You have to prepare for everything you do at every conference, not just an IBA conference. So from the point of view, partnerships, a number of firms are looking to partner with other firms around the world. So what I would suggest is, again, as soon as the list of participants are, register just one partner for the conference. You don't have to register everybody for a conference. Because when you register one person, you get access to the database. You get access to the list of participants and those that are going. So before you suddenly register 5, 10, 15 partners, register one, do the background research, or as we say, do your homework, and then you can sit there and divide it between the other partners and say, right, we know there's going to be a very large contingent of arbitration lawyers or a large contingent of anti-corruption lawyers. And they're based from and again, look at it geographically as well. Look at it and say to yourself, are there any target areas geographically we want to approach? Look at the database, look at the list of participants, focus right down on those people, and then reach out to them and get meetings. It's so important that you don't travel all that way just to stand holding coffee cups. They pay waiters to do that. Okay, it's really that simple. And what's really important is make your meetings and your networking. So when you go to a conference, tell the other law firms in your city you're going to this conference. Because they may have a contact that you don't, who they can introduce you to when you're there. Also, when you go to the city, if you have an existing network of maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 law firms, tell them you're coming, because the chances are they will want to meet you as well, face to face. In terms of cost-saving exercise, and there was again something mentioned this morning about money and budgets and the amount of expenditure that law firms will do. To visit, hands up here, how many law firms do you know have more than 5 clients outside of Europe? Your client base is outside of Europe. Anybody? A lot, it's okay. I don't know that needs translation. If you wanted, your partner wanted to visit those 5 law firms individually in different countries, that's 5 costs. 5 flights, 5 hotels, 5 expenses, 5 taxes. Whereas if they all go to a conference, not the IBA conference, the IBA conference is a good example. If they all go to the IBA conference from different parts of the world and you agree to meet there, you have 1 cost, not 5. So immediately from a budgeting perspective, you are saving the firm money because you're saying, we're going because everybody we need to talk to is going to be there. And if those people, and if you're not sure that the people you want to meet are going there, then tell them to go there. Tell them about why you're going, because it's a great event and because you want to meet lots of people. It will save you money in the long run for the firm overall. I'll also talk about advertising and PR, and again, the one thing I cannot emphasize enough is how important it is for the partners to talk to the PR people of the firm, the marketing people of the firm, the business development people of the firm. It's so important that you are there on site, whether it's Vienna, London, New York, wherever for a conference. It's so important that one of you is there to support them, because I see a lot of business meetings that take place outside the IBA conference, where there is one side a PA, a secretary, another side a marketing or a PR person. And they're there to make notes. They're there then when the partner says they want something, or the client says they need some information, they are there to get that information within 24 hours. So that that partner can carry on networking, can carry on going to other meetings, but they can immediately go away and find the documents or ask for the documents back in the office, back wherever it may be, and get them to send that document through so that the partner the following day can have a follow-up meeting and can carry on the discussions. And again, it's amazing the amount of law firms that don't do that, but I find it incredible now the amount that do. Last year in Vienna, the IBA ran a program for business development personnel and marketing personnel to come to the IBA annual conference, free of charge. The idea was that you came along, you experienced it, you met with other business development people from around the world, and we had 100 people there from 37 different countries. From Tokyo, from Sydney, from Toronto, from Buenos Aires, from Sao Paulo, a lot of people from Europe, I grant you, number from the US. And what was really good was we had one session in the morning where I told them about the IBA. And then we sat in a room like this, or a round table, and everybody just talked. And what was really interesting was the amount of emails I got afterwards from the partners of the law firms who said it was the first time in some cases they brought their business development person with them, and how much it helped to have that person on the ground with them to give them advice, to guide them into things, to get them to meetings, to make sure they arrived on time. So the importance of the business development and marketing and PR people, personnel for law firms over the next 10 years is going to grow massively. They will not be able to work without you, because the job of the partner is to do the law. The job of the business development person is to find those pieces of work for them. It's your job to get them to the point at the table where they sit with the lawyer or the company opposite them and talk to each other. The lawyer spends a lot of time doing what is effectively a business development person's job, even though there is a business development person sitting next to them. It's like, why do you want to pay somebody to do the same job? Especially when they're probably more qualified than they are to do that job. As I always say, when somebody says to me they say to me, I do sponsorship for the IBA, the whole of the IBA, and the lawyers come to me and say, we want to do this kind of sponsorship at this conference. And I politely say to them a very short phrase, I will not come into a courtroom and tell you how to prosecute somebody because of all your experience. I've got 20 years of experience, I don't know everything, but we do it in a certain way. You're the experts. The people in this room are the experts that should be guiding the law firms. The IBA now, as part of my project, want to make sure that we give you every tool available from the IBA to enable you to do this. And in a lot of cases, if everybody, and again, this is the one case I will say to give me 100 business cards. Anybody in here who is a business development, a PR, or a marketing person who feels that they should attend the IBA annual conference next year in Washington, free of charge, other than your flights and accommodation, to support your law firm, and you want help from the IBA to help you achieve that, please give me your business card. And I will draft email after email to help you get there, to support your partner, because I guarantee after that first year, they will take you every year because of the help that you will give them. And I can see nodding from my left eye here. We also do, if you go to specialist conferences as well, we do a number, and again, I keep referring to us, but I'm not saying go to our conferences. If you go to a conference with 100 people in the room, it's still difficult to be seen. It's still difficult to be found. So when you say to somebody, let's meet for a coffee in a room with 100 people in it, and you don't know that person, how much time do you waste walking around trying to find that person? How much time does your partner waste in a room trying to locate the person they're meant to meet? So again, another idea the IBA has come up with is to say to the people, partner up with the exhibitors or with a sponsor. And again, I know lots of law firms say, partner with the sponsors who are maybe publishers, and say to that company, I want to use your stand as my meeting point for my partners and their meetings. The sponsor and exhibitors will love you because you are putting people to them for them to talk to. Your partner will love it, and so will the company, because I know where I'm going and I'm going to meet just there. So you don't have to worry about them wandering around. Singer Associates, again, what they did was they took, you'll see outside the tables you stand at for the coffee tables. Singer Associates at our conference take one of those tables and they put their sign on it like this, saying Singer Associates. And they just say to people, we will be on this table, and they email, once they get there, exactly where they'll be to their meetings. And they are not met by the partner, they are met by the business development person and the marketing people, who spend time talking to them before they even get to the meeting with the partner, to explain how great the firm is, how exciting it is to meet them. So by the time they get to the partner to have their meeting, they are energized, they are excited about meeting that partner, because they can see, rather than just having a handshake, it's like you've gone to the trouble of meeting me, making sure that I get to the right place, you've organized coffee,